On January 6, 2012, a labor solidarity forum called by Occupy Seattle was held at the Labor Temple in downtown Seattle, Washington. More than 200 people crowded into the auditorium. The event was held to show support for the Longview, Washington Local 21 of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union. Local 21 is currently at the forefront of a bitter battle against union busting by a giant grain shipping consortium, EGT, which has built a $200 million terminal in Longview that is operating with non-ILWU personnel. This scab operation is a threat to the entire labor movement. Of the 8 speakers on stage, 4 were members of the ILWU. Mike Fuqua, a rank-and-file member of Local 21 in Longview, Clarence Thomas of Local 10 in San Francisco, Oakland, California, Jack Mulcahy of Local 8 in Portland, Oregon, and Jack Heyman, a retired longshoreman from Local 10. All were speaking on their own behalf, although representing the sentiment of the ILWU ranks who understand that the future of their union is at stake. Halfway through Brother Heyman's remarks, he was interrupted by a group of a couple dozen right-wing bureaucrats and hangers-on from Local 19 in Seattle, Local 23 in Tacoma, Washington, and Local 8 in Portland. This clot refused to abide by the democratic process, even though they were informed repeatedly by the chair, who was a Seattle ILWU longshoreman, that they could make any statement they wanted in the discussion period. Instead, they proceeded to disrupt the event for close to half an hour, including pushing, shoving, and throwing punches at those defending the forum. What follows are some scenes from the event which show graphically how the labor bureaucrats attack labor solidarity, showing in action that they are, as American socialist Daniel de Leon wrote over a century ago, the labor lieutenants of the capitalist class. Although some Occupy supporters portrayed this as an example of the nature of unions, many others in the room defended the union movement against this attack by the bureaucrats who bow down to the anti-labor laws of the boss's government.
Thank you, Brother Dave. And what we have to learn is what the previous speakers addressed, which is the question of honoring picket lines. There was a statement put out, and you can take a look at it. I think most of you have read it by now, put out by the ILWU international officers. It alludes to the fact that there is a third-party entity, namely Occupy, and that this third party has adopted the program of ILWU to fight EGT. I mean, what's wrong with that? I thought that's what solidarity was about. What they objected to most was the fact that, well, you don't have time to speak.
Can you read that letter? Can you read that letter?
Sit down, you'll have a chance to speak. Give us 2 chairs to sit in, please. In the ILWU was usurped, and we weren't given the opportunity to fulfill that democratic process. The fact of the matter is, there was no vote on whether to honor the Occupy picket line on December 12th. The membership voted with its feet and did not cross the picket line in Seattle, in Portland, in Oakland, and Longshore. You know what?
If I say in the program, we get a chance to address whatever you want to address. Let's do this professional, please.
All right, in 1980,
young lady got up here and said that they took over the port so they could take it.
This is the Democratic Forum. Sit sit down, brother.
When do we get to talk?
I'm going to talk
The
about...
young lady said they were taking over the port because they wanted the port, Jack. They made your living there.
All right. Mic check.
Where is the local 21 officer? Where is the local 21 officer?
We have one more. Sit down.
Don't play this game. Put me out there. Anyone, quiet down. Anyone that wants to end this. I understand there's some brothers from Seattle wanting a letter. I also understand that we went by a forum. I don't know what was said in this forum. I understand.
At one point during the disruption, the speakers on stage and the crowd chanted ILWU, ILWU against the disruptors, making it clear that the union ranks stand foursquare with Local 21 in its fight against union busting.
ILWU, 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 ILWU,
second injunction, this time on behalf of the PMA, on the theory that any disruption of work by the ILWU to the West Coast docks, at the same time that the union is protesting EGT, constitutes a violation of TAP partly. Let me reiterate, let me read that one more time so it gets through to you. The NLRB is currently seeking a second injunction, this time on behalf of the PMA, on the theory that any disruption of work by the ILWU on the West Coast docks at the same time that the union is protesting EGT constitutes a violation of TAP partly. However, we have no dispute with PMA or its member companies. Does any showing of support for Local 21 at the time that a vessel calls at the EGT facility must be measured to ensure that the West Coast ports have sufficient manpower so as not to impact cargo movements for PMA member companies. The call for protest of EGT is not a call for a shutdown of West Coast ports and must not result in one. All right? This is our ass in the line here.
What struggle is about, this is what struggle is about.
We have a struggle, but it's not here right now.
Why not?